The Alliance Saga, Book 1, Shifting Roots. Chapter 1, A Warning on the Wind. Part 3. Wolfthorn extended his claws in a long, luxurious stretch as he slid from the shade of the mangrove forest. He scraped his claws along its roots to sharpen them as he climbed into the water. A quick swim across one of the many tributaries of the Alliance River that defined River Colony's territory brought him to the island that served as their base. Despite being born there, Wolfthorn surveyed the area like he was investigating new land. The pale sand was uncomfortably hot under his paws in comparison to the comfortable shadows he had come from moments before. It had spent all day baking in the sun, and by the afternoon the heat was too intense to stand still for long. The base itself was tucked away in the heart of the island, sheltered by boulders. It, too, was irritatingly sunny, but at least there was sparse grass to cool his paws and hibiscus bushes to curl up under for a nap. Wolfthorn crept around the edge of the base, taking note of all the cats currently inside. Blue River sat outside the new nursery, struggling to weave reeds and cattails into cover for her kittens. Captain Rainfall was no doubt lounging comfortably inside what used to be the nursery. She had recently proclaimed the spirits beyond decreed it to be her den instead. Minnogill attempted to help Blue River, but as far as Wolfthorn could tell, the experienced keeper was quickly becoming frustrated with him. Wolfthorn couldn't blame her. Rainfall and Iceclaw had discouraged rangers from becoming keepers, and even reassigned former keepers to other roles. What few keepers remained hardly had time for weaving or tool-making, and less time to teach it to others. Blue River was trying to build a whole new nursery and care for her young litter almost entirely on her own. The kittens themselves weren't making things easier. Pine whimpered loudly any time a beam of light broke through the slapdash weave and struck his sensitive eyes, and his fussing started Umber and Snow crying too. Mistyclaw approached to offer help, but Blue River took one look at her large pregnant belly and sent her away to sunbathe beside Gillstripe. A quick exchange of words between them had Gillstripe taking his mate's place, holding Breed still while Blue River's adept paws strung thin cattail stalks between them. Unable to match her, Minnogill watched closely to learn her technique. Blue River's own mate, Pineclaw, sat some distance away, looking self-important and barking orders at a pair of new claws who were trying to enjoy a fish in the shade of one of the sunning boulders. They jumped to their feet at once to carry out his command, but Wolfthorn could see the unhappiness on their faces as soon as Pineclaw's back was turned. Wolfthorn tried to place their names, but he didn't know them. Much had changed in his months-long journey away from home. Cats he'd known had died or mysteriously left, while others had been born or joined the colony from distant lands. A deep mew drew his attention, though he showed it with only the tilt of one ear. "Where have you been all day?" Nowhere, really." Wolfthorn adopted his usual easy manner of speaking to respond to Swiftmask. The gray-pointed Tom was a little more loyal to the rules than Wolfthorn would have liked, but they had known each other since they were kittens. If Swiftmask was ever a threat to him, then there was no hope left for River Colony. "Iceclaw was asking about you," Swiftmask said. "I know you've only been back a month, but you need to get used to being in a colony again. Leaving without permission doesn't look good. I don't know if I'll be able to keep covering your tracks." "You worry too much," Wolfthorn replied, though in all honesty he wondered if maybe Swiftmask should be worrying more. He trusted Swiftmask, but Wolfthorn didn't know if he could trust Swiftmask enough to reveal all he knew. At worst, Swiftmask might raise his concerns to Rainfall in a well-meaning but disastrous show of loyalty to his colony. At best, Wolfthorn might make Swiftmask into a target for their captain's cruelty. Wolfthorn couldn't expect Swiftmask to lie or pretend nothing was wrong as easily as he could. Swiftmask frowned. "You should at least be here for Gray." Wolfthorn gave his pelt a non-committal shake. If anything, staying away from Gray was the best thing he could do for the new claw. He had no doubt that Rainfall had paired them to either keep an eye on Wolfthorn or to provide a convenient excuse to get rid of Gray should the need ever arise. "River Colony, meet at the Sentry Stone." Wolfthorn's ears pinned back at Rainfall's piercing yowl. Swiftmask pretended not to notice and pushed him toward the throng of cats answering the speckled Silver Molly's summons. Once she had her audience, Rainfall continued. "During the full moon, the spirits beyond speak to me even more clearly. They have sent me a sign." She paused to allow gasps of surprise and anticipation to ripple through the crowd. "It is my great pleasure to relay their message to you, my colony. Swiftmask, come forward." Wolfthorn bristled. Swiftmask brushed his tail against Wolfthorn's shoulder as he moved to stand closer to the Sentry Stone and Rainfall. Those already there made room for him, leaving him to stand alone against the captain and second. "Congratulations, Swiftmask," Rainfall purred. "The spirits beyond have chosen you to be River Colony's newest mentor." Again she waited for the wave of shocked reactions and uncomfortable cheers to flow through the Riverlanders. Wolfthorn dug his claws into the soft ground. Everyone knew Swiftmask wanted to be an envoy, not a mentor. Even if he never boasted or acted superior like some other envoys Wolfthorn could name, his natural leadership and genuine care for every member of the colony made his path clear to anyone who knew him. He hadn't even trained a new claw yet. It made no sense to make him a mentor. I'm honored, Captain Rainfall. I will do my best to serve River Colony and train our young cats," Swiftmask answered. "I trust that you will not let me down. After all, I see just as well as the spirits. Your efforts in managing Gray's training have not gone unnoticed." Rainfall curled her tail around her paws and looked over her colony. Wolfthorn met her icy stare with his own, a message passing between them in the brief seconds before Rainfall moved on from him. Swiftmask's appointment as a mentor was his fault. "Moss!" Wolfthorn glanced to the side to see Sedgestorm and Willowshade nudge a brown tabby Molly to her feet. She stumbled forward and stood uneasily beside Swiftmask to a chorus of laughter from the other new claws. Yes, Captain Rainfall." Rainfall cleared her throat dramatically, making sure she had every cat's attention. "I have been watching you, and it is time for you to begin your field training as a ranger of River Colony." Moss perked up right away when she heard that. "Swiftmask, I am placing you in charge of Moss's training, of course. I have every confidence that you will teach her to be as loyal and hard-working as you are. You are both dismissed to begin training at once. Moss will be presented to the Alliance at the Moonlight meeting tonight, and I want her ready." Swiftmask lowered his head as a show of acknowledgement and respect, but Moss was too excited for that. She ran back to Willowshade and Sedgestorm. "Mom! Dad! I'm going to the Moonlight meeting!" Sedgestorm sighed before giving his kitten's cheek a lick, and Willowshade whispered something to Moss. The new claw ducked her head in embarrassment and mumbled a reply that Wolfthorn couldn't hear. The rest of the meeting was more of Rainfall's grandstanding, and a complete waste of Wolfthorn's time. He kept his ear out for his name during the announcement of which cats would attend the Moonlight meeting, and was surprised to hear it actually called, but other than that, he could have thought of a dozen better things to do than listen to Rainfall go on and on about how blessed the colony was by the spirits. "I suppose we'll be training new claws together from now on," Swiftmask said when he rejoined Wolfthorn, putting on a happy face. There was no time for disappointment when a rambunctious young Molly was waiting for her first task. "Moss and Gray will get along well, I think. Should we take them for a quick lesson?" "Sure," Wolfthorn answered. "Let's head up to the Marsh Colony border. I thought I smelled something odd over there earlier." He neglected to mention that he'd been on Oak Colony land at the time. He signaled to his own new claw to join them, and Gray gave a quick goodbye purr to his father before trotting over. "Marsh Colony?" Moss gaped, then broke into a wide smile. Ha! Did you hear that? She sneered at the calico new claw that had laughed at her earlier. I'm going to check out another colony and go to the moonlight meeting on my first day of field training. Effortlessly, the calico retorted, Good thing you have the half-marsh going with you. Wolfthorn narrowed his eyes, but Gray gave no indication that he heard her teasing. He gave his thick, bushy pelt a shake and fell in line beside Wolfthorn. Lily is so rude. I mean, why would being half Marshlander even matter? Moss grumbled as the four swam the short distance to the mainland, and for a moment Wolfthorn's heart was unexpectedly light. Perhaps there was still a chance for River Colony to be truly great, if there were young cats like Moss and Gray to guide its future. Cats who didn't believe Rainfall's yowling about the superiority of River Colony over the rest of the Alliance, or the horrible rumors she spread to discredit her rivals. Then Moss continued. Captain Rainfall lets you stay, so you must be a loyal Riverlander, not like your mother. Moss! Swiftmask snapped. Again Gray showed no indication that he'd heard Moss, and Wolfthorn resisted a sigh of contempt as his hopes were dashed. Thank you so much for watching, and a special thank you to my patrons. If you'd like to see your name here or in the description below, please consider joining my Patreon. Your support means so much to me and allows me to continue making content. If you want to support my content in different ways, consider buying my books, donating on Ko-fi, subscribing to the channel, or even just giving this video a like and comment. Any and everything is appreciated so much. Keep growing till next time, Rose Garden!